Hello, my name is Len Baer, also known as @PSardonicus on Twitter. And this is Havana Syndrome Media Update for July 11th, 2022. Since our last update, The Hill published an opinion piece called 75 Years for CIA and One for William Burns. Yes, CIA is celebrating 75 years of its checkered history, and we simply cannot wait to join the festivities. Here's a quote from the piece that caught my attention. Burns chose a well-regarded senior officer to lead the Havana Syndrome task force, but angered possible victims and their colleagues dissatisfied with the CIA's opaque conclusions that most of the reported cases were unlikely to have been caused by Russia or another foreign adversary. The question I would like to ask, since none of the journalists have the balls to ask it, if it's not done by a foreign adversary, who is behind the attacks? And should we take the word non-foreign in its literal sense, as in domestic? CIA has a long documented history of experimenting on its own citizens, or even on its own employees, without their consent, a gross violation of every human and civil right and the Geneva Convention. Is history repeating itself? Anyway, happy anniversary, Central Intelligence Agency. Reuters also reported that President Biden visited CIA headquarters ahead of this glorious celebration. Your physical health and well-being are critically important to me, and your leadership here at the CIA, Biden said in a possible reference to the Havana Syndrome, a serious anomalous health incident that has affected diplomats and intelligence officers worldwide. I believe you, Mr. President, just like I believe you treat civilians diagnosed with Havana Syndrome domestically like second-class citizens. I have evidence that your National Security Council at the White House is aware of the existence of my diagnosed domestic case of Havana Syndrome, but apparently that doesn't reach the level of importance. But like you said, we'll get to the bottom of this. Ditto. Finally, more credible journalists continue using Twitter as a platform to advertise their Havana Syndrome denialism. Josh Barrow, who used to be a contributor to a few mainstream networks and whose journalistic efforts I used to value, tweeted plain and simple in March of this year, "Okay, but Havana Syndrome is not real." Let me ask you, Josh, how much time, research, and investigative work went into this concise declaration of one's ignorance? I could get a more in-depth opinion by going to a tarot card reader. And no, I don't want to ban your tweets, but I would like to have a public conversation on one of your podcasts about your ill-founded opinion. Let's be adults and have a conversation that goes beyond a 7-word tweet. That's all for this update. As always, send your comments via Twitter, where my handle is P. Sardonicus. Until next time,